Hey everybody, it is Wednesday and time for a Discovery Club lesson. You may remember last week Joshua was reminding the people to choose to serve God no matter what. And now as they've entered into the promised land, we get into the book of Judges, and it's called Judges because God used different people within the group to lead them at different times or to deliver them. And it was really important that God's people continued to serve him. And the problem is, if you read through the book of Judges, what you find is over and over again, they just disobeyed and disobeyed and disobeyed. And so then they'd get into trouble. They'd have issues with their neighbors, with the people that lived near them. And a deliverer would serve as a judge or as a leader. And in some cases, they solved disputes, they helped run things for the people, and in many cases, they led them against their enemies. We learn about lots of judges, and there's some crazy stories in there. We learn about Ehud, who went and went up against a king who was so fat that when he went to stab him in the belly with a sword, and his sword was lost in the guy's stomach. So that's gross. And we hear about Deborah, who, even though she was a woman and the men didn't like listening to or letting women be in charge, she was a leader and she was respected, and she led them also and led them to victory. And then we come across this guy named Gideon. And Gideon is kind of like me right now, hiding out. Gideon, when he's found by God, when God comes to him, he is hiding in the bottom of a wine press. And he's trying to make bread. He's trying to just make food for his family. But the Midianites have been such a problem that he's hiding fearfully. He's kind of a coward, actually. And so when God comes and finds him, he says, "Greetings, mighty warrior." And of course, not much mighty about a guy hiding out in a wine press making bread. But God was going to use Gideon as another one of these judges. Again, we're going to learn throughout these stories that God was using all sorts of people to take care of his chosen people so that they could save the nations through, of course, we know, the coming of Jesus. And so in these stories, we see God's continued deliverance of his people from those around them. But we also see that over and over again, they don't keep the covenant. If you remember that covenant all the way back with Abraham, where God took it upon himself and said, "I will make you a great nation, and out of you we will bless the nations." God lives up to his side of it, but Israel doesn't. And so here they are in the promised land. He's led them out of Egypt. He's taken them all this way. He's done incredible miracles to get them here. And now that they're here, they just keep disobeying. They start worshiping other gods. They start marrying those that around them. They start disobeying the things that God has said. And so he puts judges there in their place, some of which are good judges, some not so much. And we're going to learn those stories over the next couple of weeks. So be ready next week as we learn about the story of Gideon and the Midianites, as he hid in his wine press, as he was shaken in his boots for the Midianites to come and hurt him and his family. And instead, God came and found him and uses him as a judge for the good of his people. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you're staying at home and staying healthy. We'll catch you next week.